Well, hello again. It's fantastic to have you back in the loop. Thanks a bunch for joining us today. We're diving into a rather intriguing topic, the curious case of why narcissists aim to dismantle relationships. Quite perplexing, wouldn't you agree? Oh, and don't overlook the importance of tapping that like button, subscribing, and perhaps sharing this gem with your pals if it resonates with you. Now, when you find yourself entangled with a narcissist, brace yourself for a whirlwind of desires. They crave your affection, empathy, time, and energy, devouring every morsel of your being. Not to mention, they have their sights set on your finances, your social circle, and perhaps even your innermost dreams. It's as if they harbor an insatiable void that demands constant feeding. Picture this. They revel in the act of perpetual taking, and just when you think they've had their fill, they hunger for more. But here's the twist. What truly tickles their fancy is witnessing the demise of the relationship. They sink their claws in deeper, particularly when you've made solemn vows or commitments. Whether it's two souls professing undying love, tying the knot, embarking on parenthood, building a home, or launching a venture together, the narcissist clandestinely plots the downfall. Fascinating, isn't it? Let's delve into the psyche behind this peculiar behavior. Sometimes, this falling apart happens soon after getting married or moving, even if it's just to a new neighborhood. It might happen after a business relationship too, especially if the other person turns out to be a narcissist. Another possibility is that it will happen after you've given them money or put their name on property documents. Narcissists are very good at hiding who they are and controlling other people. They trap people in a web of fake kindness, even though they don't have the ability to love or care about others. Instead, they act like they care about others, are compassionate and love, but these are all just masks. They have a strange knack for repeating what people have said before, and their dark, hungry eyes are often seen fixed on their target. But their main goal is to end the relationship, and they will keep trying to do this until they think they have their victim caught. The circle of narcissistic abuse moves on to the devaluation stage after the love bombing stage. Victims get caught up in the system and struggle with confusion while longing for the initial high. Sadly, this rare state is still out of reach, and is being replaced by fleeting moments of false hope, love, and understanding. These kinds of relationships can't last because every selfish relationship has an end date, and the facade will fall apart over time. Usually, the cycle ends with the discard phase, which means ending the connection. Sometimes, the Hoover phase comes next. It's important to stay alert, especially during vulnerable times like the holidays, because a Hoover, an attempt by the narcissist to get back together with you, may happen if contact isn't broken. To get out of the circle of narcissistic abuse, you need to stop talking to the narcissist, block them, and get them out of your life. Then you can start to heal. The narcissist's never-ending need to break up relationships causes the 4 stages of narcissistic abuse to happen over and over again. We'll look at different cases to show how and why they carry out this harmful plan. In relationships, a turning point happens when the other person thinks they have your commitment. This starts a phase of subtle testing through withdrawal. Remember the early stages, when you would text each other bright messages with heart emojis, puppies, rainbows, and smiles? It looked like a fun dance. But as time went on, the narcissist slowly took away these emotions until they were gone completely, which made you wonder what happened. In reality, the friendship was built on shaky ground from the start. Even though the narcissist knew you were unstable, they still managed to hold on to you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and maybe even financially. Even though there were many attempts to cut ties, you were the one who held the broken pieces together. You were very kind, maybe because you wanted to please other people or because you didn't want to say the hardest word in English, no. Saying no means confirming yourself. The narcissist kept a close eye on the relationship and read your texts, watched how you responded emotionally, and even looked at your behavior for signs of being too happy. They asked you about harmless actions like waving to strangers, trying to dim your bright spirit. Even though they tried to drain your energy and cover you in a fog of devaluation, their efforts were only temporary until they failed. It can be hard to navigate relationships, especially when they involve people who are selfish and put their own needs ahead of everyone else's. Dealing with the effects of a difficult breakup is hard, whether you were the one who started it or the one who was left behind. Dealing with someone who is continuously self-centered is very hard. If you've been through the pain of a breakup, know that your feelings are understood. Getting involved with someone who is only interested in themselves leads to bad results, whether you have to give the painful blow of firing or take the brunt of being left behind. If you've never been in a situation like this, you should feel lucky. It's good to see that you're looking for advice and sharing your experiences in this group. These real stories teach people important lessons that help them become better and stay away from partners who only care about themselves. Many of us here have been through such rough seas, and we hope that by sharing our stories, we can show how dangerous it is to be in a relationship with someone who puts themselves first. Let's talk about what to do after a breakup. Without a doubt, it's hard. You're going deep inside yourself to try to find your identity again after tying it to someone who didn't care about you back. It's like finding a single blade of grass in a huge field. Even so, there are times when things become clear. You start to understand how these people abuse others in a very sneaky way. How did you come to realize this? Maybe you found comfort in online tools that talked about relationship problems, or someone who shared videos that helped you understand things better. All of a sudden, you're surrounded by toxic people and selfish behavior. Why? Because your ex-partner liked to cause trouble to show who was in charge, leaving you in a mess of confusion and doubt. How did you find your way through this maze of feelings? You may have shed a lot of tears, your body may have changed, and the task of learning may have seemed impossible to complete. Going through the remains of a relationship that may have lasted many years reveals a reality that is very different from what you thought it was. Eventually, acceptance sets in. You realize that your ex-partner never really loved you and didn't care about anyone, not even their own family. They are perfect examples of hollow vessels because they want to take energy and resources from minds that don't know it. At some point, you were just one of many people they could take advantage of. Following a difficult breakup, you are looking for peace and answers from the broken pieces of your relationship. Even though you worked hard to build a strong relationship and work together, you realize that the other person had never really cared about your well-being. When you think back on the past, you can see the warning signs that were there the whole time. The sudden end of lively text conversations full of emojis was a scary sign that trouble was coming. In the same way, the fact that your name slowly disappeared from social media stories, especially after the wedding vows, showed a pattern of lying. Behind the act of engagement, they secretly looked for approval and flirtations from people all over the world, keeping up the appearance of being one. These kinds of actions only show the surface of narcissistic traits. Have you ever thought about why some people have more than one smartphone? People who have a lot of devices don't necessarily be selfish, but it is a common way for them to communicate secretly and get attention from outside sources while they're supposed to be in a relationship. Think of it as a small part of a bigger plan that will help them get what they want without anyone knowing. Now, the idea of having 3 smartphones might seem strange. But let's break down what it's for. Professional tasks are handled by one gadget, daily tasks by another, and maybe even private conversations by a third. This set of 3 toys may seem like a lot of money, but they are actually tools that narcissists use to manipulate, abuse, and punish others while keeping up the appearance of normalcy. Now think about this. How often did they walk ahead of you on trips with them, whether you are married or not? There was no talking, holding hands, or showing love, and they always chose to walk alone, whether it was a casual barbecue, a stroll through town, or a visit to neighbors. Their choice to walk ahead was meant to put you at a distance and see how much you could handle their rude behavior. If you tried to set limits or talk about their behavior, they would dismissively call you insecure, or say that you are lucky to have them as a friend, which would subtly make you feel less confident. Now, picture this. As you go with them to a party or a neighbor's house, they make such hurtful comments along the way. You don't feel loved and appreciated. Instead, you're confused and downhearted. The narcissist is beaming with pleasure, even though you're trying to hide your pain with a forced smile. They got the emotional response they wanted by lowering your worth. The narcissist keeps doing this over and over because their final goal is to end the relationship. They use these manipulative techniques on you over and over again, which makes the loop stronger and it harder to break out of it. They test right up until the beginning of each day. Imagine that you need a ride to work when you wake up, and the driver is a narcissist. What does the car ride bring? You might be met with stony quiet or a long list of accusations for things you didn't do. They may also give you a huge list of things to do after work, which can make you feel down and stressed. When you get to your destination, you're confused by the sudden change in their behavior, from being distant to looking happy, all while hiding their true goals behind a front. In retrospect, it's easier to understand why they did what they did, but at the time, their emotions made it hard to see. When that happens, you're probably very close to the narcissist, even though they can't return your love. Second, they are actively working to hurt the connection while you are trying to strengthen it. Third, as you continue to give too much, you become extremely confused. You work hard to fix the relationship's problems, only to learn after some time has passed that it was doomed from the start. Each and every egotistical relationship ends at some point, and yours did too. That's the cycle summed up. Even though you work hard to save what's left, the ego is still there, not you. Think about how often the narcissist would avoid or isolate their own family members, like their mother, brothers, children, co-workers, friends, or people in the community. The narcissist is the one with the problems, and they want to destroy any important relationships you have. This is how they do things. You will have a hard time if you don't know what words like stonewalling, silent treatment, rage outbursts, verbal abuse, triangulation, or gaslighting mean. You are up against a sneaky force that wants to break your spirit. When I say crushing, I really mean it. These people don't want you to do well, find your true self, or start a healing journey. Narcissists want to take away everything from you, from your resources to your confidence. They want to leave you completely empty. It can take a long time to get a divorce from a narcissist because they are always looking out for themselves and only care about making money. They eventually dump you and move on, which drains your emotions and mind. But over time, people start to see through their act and figure out how honest and kind they really are. Remember that real character always comes out in the end. Accept people who are truly themselves. They will show you the way forward. Let's do the opposite now. When you're with someone toxic, who is always negative and whose only goal is to drain and destroy relationships, their real nature will eventually come out. Every relationship they break up and every time they cause trouble adds to their history of damage and will eventually come back to haunt them. Because of this, they often have deep-seated worry, avoid self-reflection, avoid taking responsibility, and show a clear lack of care for anyone but themselves. Their behavior is like a child who is being spoiled and resorts to bullying. Inside, they feel empty. They are fully aware of what they are doing and how it will affect others. Before we end, let's answer a common question. Do these harmful people know how their actions affect others? They do, yes. They live in the same world as you, go through the same things, and are fully aware of how their actions affect other people. They intentionally break up relationships as part of how they do business. They find it attractive to trap you or keep you in a bad relationship. In order to get attention, this is done. In the next step, they try to get everything they can out of you, which makes them very happy. Lastly, when the relationship ends, they try to feel better by being the victim or putting the blame on you while looking for someone new to pay attention to. In this way, the vicious circle keeps going. Why do they break up relationships? It's because they get tired and bored with this one, just like they did with the one before you. Because they can't get enough of new things, they are always looking for new relationships, hobbies, things, money, and anything else that gives them a short-term sense of satisfaction. They get a lot of energy from taking energy from others, and they are stuck in a never-ending loop of wanting and buying things. They are well aware of this pattern, just like you and I are. So, understand this: they break up relationships on purpose. It's how they do things. That's why it's so important to cut ties, stop them, and stay away from anyone who is connected to them. When should it be, if not now? If making eye contact is hard, just try to stop being interesting to them. Today is over. I hope this was helpful to you. Take care, and have a great day, night, or morning, no matter where you are. Don't forget that you have help. Take care of yourself first. I really care about you. Putting together this material was fun, and I hope to connect with you again soon. Thank you.